Welcome back to Parent Quick Smarts for 5th grade. In this episode, we will be covering 5th grade's division of fractions. When studying the division of fractions, most of us were rarely asked to explain why the mathematical procedure worked. We simply learned the algorithm and followed it with rows and rows of practice problems on a worksheet. Remember this? Don't ask why, just invert and multiply. While this may have gotten us through those worksheets, it did not build an understanding of how this process actually divided fractions. Your student in 5th grade will investigate the division of fractional amounts using a variety of manipulatives and strategies designed to lead to a better understanding of what they are doing when they divide a fraction. Students in 5th grade will be able to understand how a fraction represents division. Use a variety of strategies to divide a whole by unit fractions and unit fractions by a whole number. Unit fractions are fractions where the numerator is 1, such as 1/2, 1/3, 1/5, 1/20. They will not be dividing fractions by fractions in 5th grade. At the beginning of this unit, students may be challenged to create a model to explain their solution to a situation such as, how could I split 3 sandwiches equally among 4 people? Students would first start with an estimate to compare the reasonableness of their final solution with. They could reason that each person is going to get less than a whole sandwich because there are not enough sandwiches for everyone to get one whole. They could then model this using construction paper, where each sheet represents one sandwich. Through trial and error, students could determine that by splitting each sandwich equally among 4 people into fourths, each person would be able to receive 3/4 of a whole sandwich. With this problem, students were dividing 3 wholes into 4 equal groups. This can be written as an expression using division. Students may not be familiar with seeing a divisor which is larger than the dividend, which results in a solution or quotient that is less than a whole. But in this situation, they were able to create 4 equal groups and split three wholes equally among them using fractional pieces. We would then want the students to see that the fraction 3/4, which represents the solution, can be used to represent this division expression as well, read as 3 divided equally into 4 groups, which gives us 3/4 of a whole in each group. This can be related to other division expressions as well, such as 6/3. 6/3 can be understood as 6 split equally into groups of 3, which gives us 2 whole groups. Next, let's look at a challenging real-world problem scenario that may be given to your child to introduce division with fractions. Scott has 4 pints of ice cream. He wants to share it in servings of 1/4 pint each. How many 1/4 pint servings can he make? Students would first need to determine a reasonable estimate. Based on the situation, students should be able to see that there are going to be more than 1 serving in each whole pint, since each serving is a piece or fraction of a whole pint. So it would be reasonable to estimate that there are going to be more than 4 servings. Through the use of manipulatives, such as color tiles, students could create a model to show this scenario. 4 wholes, each split into fourths, would give us 16 groups of 1/4, or 16 servings. Students may also choose to use a number line in order to model this scenario using repeated subtraction of equal size groups, which will still give them 16 equal groups of 1/4. They should be able to relate their manipulative model to the number line. In both models, they are splitting the whole into equal groups of 1/4, and then determining the number of equal groups that they can make. A student might also be asked how the problem would be different if it were dividing 1/4 of a pint of ice cream equally among 4 hungry people. This time, we are starting with a total of 1/4 of a pint, which would have to be split into 4 equal pieces. Relating this back to the whole pint, each of the 4 people would get 1/16 of a pint. Students should see that though this problem uses the same numbers as the previous situation, the division of a fraction by a whole number gives us an amount that is less than what we started with, because we are splitting a piece of a whole into smaller equal groups. Next time you have a party or get-together, have your child determine how many guests you can serve. If you have 6 2-liter bottles of soda and you plan that each person will get 1/3 of a liter. Do you do woodworking projects with your son or daughter? A great way to use division of fractions in the real world would be when you have a plank that needs to be chopped into fractions of a foot. Ask your child to explain how they would find the number of pieces that they would get. Here's some example of problems your students may be asked to solve as they progress through this unit in their Go Math text. Some questions that you may want to ask your child to help build their understanding as they go through this unit are: how do you model dividing whole numbers by a fraction? How is 8 split into groups of a fourth different than 1/4 split into 8 equal groups? Thank you for joining us again today on Parent Quick Smarts. Remember, the best way to support your child's education is to keep in communication with your child's teacher. Until next time, take a look at these websites, thinkcentral.com and elementarymath.mysdhc.org. See you next episode.